about this weekend's past fights. Robert Whittaker put on a beautiful display against Kelvin Gastelum. I mean, pretty much this weekend's card, the wrestlers or the area of fighting which was wrestling completely dominated that card.
A lot of split decisions, though. A lot of split decisions. It's
Not
about
even
4
just
split decisions.
Robert, but his training partner as well, Jacob Malcolm, finally really got to show off his skill set because he was the one who lost to Phil Hawes on the Habib card.
UFC 254.
Yeah, and now he came back and he did not let his opponent rest for 1 second.
No.
So, yeah, pardon me, just grab a drink.
That's all good. Just high output and pressure. And the same followed with Whittaker. He just, Gastelum does really well at closing distance and especially using that heavy left hand. Although Gastelum didn't do that well in 170, a lot of people have been mentioning maybe he should drop down to 170 because he's lost about 4 of his last 5 so far. To be honest, I don't know if that's the right move. I could definitely see that happen in the future just because he's a little bit undersized at 185. But Whittaker just did so well. I wouldn't say 10-8s, but they were 10-9s for sure.
Yeah.
Consistently beating Gastelum. Now, when they were trading, you could see Gastelum did have the upper hand a few times. Let's just say, like, Whittaker, his wrestling has got so much better. He's so much more of a complete fighter.
Yeah. His striking's got even quicker.
Yeah, that side kick to the knee, he was using really, really well to hyperextend his knee. And I was just super impressed. You know, anytime, he was just smart. Yeah. So smart at pulling away from the exchanges and just popping back into range. I think he did really well, especially with footwork. I mean, props to Gastelum because he was always had high output as well, constantly going. Anytime he got hit in the face, took 2 steps forward, always against Whittaker. And you could tell Gastelum, he's very good on the offensive, but when he's on the back foot, that's when he starts to have issues. And when it's with someone like Whittaker, who's got very dynamic footwork, it's an issue. It's an issue for Gastelum. And a lot of people were expecting maybe Gastelum to take away just because, you know, he does have that very, very fast left hand that can just catch you. But I'm not going to lie, Whittaker took a good few shots. There is no one more well-suited for a title shot than Whittaker. We've said it before, even prior to this fight, he didn't really need to fight a Paulo Costa or Gastelum in order to be the #1 challenger. He has been the #1 challenger consecutively after these 3 fights. He was the #1 challenger, fought Jared Cannonier?
Yeah, Jared Cannonier.
He fought then Darren Till. Then he fought Kelvin Gastelum. At the time, 2 of those fighters were in the top 5. Now, Kelvin Gastelum was was number 8. Obviously, the rankings have moved around a little bit, and now all of them are just shy outside of the top 5. Mm-hmm. But the only person that was in the other realm of possibility for a title shot against Israel Adesanya was Marvin Vettori, and I personally don't understand it. For me, Marvin, he's on a 5-fight win streak after losing to Israel Adesanya, opposed to Whittaker's 3-fight win streak, right? But the quality of Whittaker's opponents are so much better than Vettori's. I mean, Vettori's... Look, 3 of those fighters were unranked. And 2 of those fighters were just in the top 10. Now, one of them was Kevin Holland, late replacement, not Vettori's fault, right? But now Holland is now number 12, so not even in the top 10 anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So only one of those fights was in the top 10, which was Jack and Manson. Look, and that was late notice as well. So Marvin Vettori, he's done well, right? And I could see him be a stylistically unfavorable matchup for Izzy, right? But he does not deserve the title shot over Robert Whittaker, right?
Here's what Marvin should do, though. Marvin should fight Paulo Costa.
Either fight Paulo Costa or to fight Derek Brunson.
Or Jared Cannonier. One of those 3. Pretty much how I see. Because Jared Cannonier has not fought since he's lost to Robert Whittaker. And Paulo Costa's not fought since he's lost to Adesanya. So, whatever one of the 2, it seems like a more better matchup. I don't think they should have to keep Robert Whittaker like waiting any longer. He said, "Hey man, I think it's time we cross paths again. I think we can get a sold out stadium." He wants to bring it to Australia. You know, that's good for Adesanya, because he's a Nigerian born, New Zealand raised fighter. He doesn't have to travel very far, and the borders pretty much are starting to open up. I think it would have been a nice idea to have it over here in WA, just saying. Over East, you know, you got plenty of stadiums that they could have done, because I'm pretty sure when Adesanya fought Robert Whittaker for the first time, it was over East, wasn't it?
It was in Sydney.
It was in Sydney, there you go. And they love to put on a spectacle over there.
I'd love to see it here in Perth.
Yeah,
I'd love to see it in Perth, because it's not the first time that Izzy has fought in Perth. He made his debut in Perth.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a really good way of him coming back to old roots, I guess, and fighting Whittaker there, since they're both. You're good. They're both from, you know, Anzac Nations, Australia and New Zealand. So I would love to see that fight. Now, obviously, we'll postpone our predictions for that fight in the future. I hope that it happens in maybe July or August. However, that might be a little bit too quick on Whittaker's timeline.
I think he said that the borders probably most likely will open up in
November
September
or something.
Yeah.
October, November.
Yeah, October, November.
Yeah.
Because right now, everyone's kind of betting on the next, this Masvidal and Usman, and then we got Sanhagen and Dillashaw, Rob Font and Cody Garbrandt, Chandler and
Charles Oliveira,
and then we got Poirier and McGregor. After that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it doesn't need to be in July or anything like that. Perhaps move it a little bit further back, September, October, November timeline. I think the sooner the better, since Izzy fought in March. Probably just keep both fighters fairly active